All right, so hi, good evening, Jose. Good evening, Fabiana. Thanks for being in today's class. I'm going to start the class with you. All right, are you okay? Is everything okay, Jose, Fabiana?
Yes, hi. Good everything. Good evening.
Good evening, Jose. Great. Nice to know that everything is fine. What about you, Fabiana?
Hi, teacher. Yes, all it's fine.
Great. That's great to know. So good. Let's begin today's class then. I think I'm sharing my whole screen. Let me check that I'm doing it. Yes. Okay, good. So let's begin with today's class. Today we have to start a new unit, and I already assigned everything on Pearson. All right. So if you go to Pearson, Jose and Fabiana, everything is there already. This is the third unit. So you have from today until Friday at 11:59 p.m. to finish everything related to the third unit, right? So we finished unit one, it's done, the assignments and the quiz, done. We finished the second quiz and the second unit, and it's done, right? It was until last week. And the quiz was until Sunday, right? So it's done also. Now, today we are starting with Unit 3. And again, until Friday is for doing the assignments, and until Sunday is going to be to take the quiz. That's it. If you don't have any questions related to that, I'm going to start today's class with the new lesson. Again, Unit 3, the first lesson is present perfect. You already know the present perfect, so this is going to be a review. And also we're going to add some things related to the present continuous, all right? But the idea here is to practice and to know with what expressions we should use these tenses and how we should do it. So without further ado, I'm going to start the class. Before starting the class and the explanation, I'm sharing the link. This is a new file. You know that we have a new file every unit. So the link is in the chat. You can go over there and we learn some things and we're going to write some examples. All right, let's begin with today's presentation. First, we're going to work on a review, even, all right, something before the present perfect about the simple past to understand the difference between these two. Please, we're going to start reading this, not everything actually. Jose, you're going to read, please, the introduction until this part, please.
Okay. Review. To know about the present perfect, it is important to remember the simple past. We use the simple past to talk about definite events in the past.
Thank you, Jose. Good. So the simple past, right, is the definite past. So we use this tense, the simple past, to talk about definite events in the past. And that's very, very important. Because if you're going to take a look at the examples, I'm using definite expressions, definite time expressions with all of them. And that's something that is a characteristic of, right, for this tense, the simple past. Please, the examples are going to be for you, Fabiana. E.g., right, means example and it's example given. So let's read the examples, please, Fabiana.
Okay. Examples. She traveled to Santa Cruz yesterday. They took their test last weekend. I watched that movie last month. Peter, I went. Peter and I went to a concert 2 days ago.
Thank you, Fabiana. So the most important part here is first, that this is the simple past, and second, that this is a definite past, all right? Definite, specific, because we know when these actions happened. For example, if I ask this to you, David, these questions are related to these examples, David. If I ask you, when did she travel to Santa Cruz? What is the answer, David?
Yesterday.
Very good. The second question, David, the same idea. When did they take their test?
Last weekend.
Last week, right? Thank you, David. Good. So like that, if I ask questions with when, I have a specific answer, right? Yesterday, last weekend, last month, 2 days ago. We know when it happened. That is not possible with the present continuous and the present perfect, all right? All right, sorry. So the present perfect and the present perfect continuous are not going to let us do that. They are indefinite. So we don't know when it happened. All right, that's the main thing for the present perfect. Now I'm going to ask some questions related to the verbs. All right. All right, sorry. I'm still a little bit sick, so my throat is like a little bit annoying. So traveled, that's a regular verb. Jose, what is the past participle of traveled? Because this is the simple past, right? What is the past participle of traveled?
Traveled.
Exactly, it's the same, right? Because all regular verbs have the same past, right? Simple past, traveled, past participle, traveled, right? Also for you, Jose, the second one, took. What is the past participle of took?
Taken.
Okay, very close, very close. It's not going to be taken, it's
Taken.
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 Exactly, correct. Very good. Thank you, Jose. The same for you, please, Fabiana. What is the past participle of watched and went?
Of watch, it's the same, watched.
Very good, correct. And what about went?
Gone, maybe.
Gone, correct. Is G-O-N-E, right? Gone. Good. So if you have a regular verb, it's very easy, right? You only keep the same tense. Travel, traveled, traveled. Watched, watch, watched, and watched, right? So ed is the same for simple past and for the past participle. The only ones you need to memorize, and we were practicing that, right, is take, took, taken, go, went, gone. And today we're going to practice a little bit with those verbs, all right? Because it's important. It's very important that you know at least a list of those 100 verbs, as I was showing you, right? 100, it's a lot, but actually it's the number, a good number for the most common verbs in English, 100, because you have many more hundreds, all right, if you want to memorize all the verbs, even you have thousands of verbs. So it's important to have that idea. Let's go to the next part. Again, this is review. This is the simple past. And again, pay attention. The main difference is that this is definite and that we have definite time expressions. The next part is going to be for you, please, David. You're going to read these two elements, please.
Okay. To write a sentence in the simple past, you need a verb in that tense. There are two kinds of verb, regular and irregular. Regular verbs, watch plus ed, like plus t, travel plus ed, fix plus ed, etc. In irregular verbs, write, wrote, written, eat, ate, eaten, drink, drank, drunk, etc.
Thank you very much, David. Good. Only a couple of corrections over there to improve, because again, your reading and your pronunciation skills, all right, they are very, very good. Just little details. This one, instead of u, as this is u in English, it's going to be pronounced more like a, like plus, right? Watch plus ed, like plus ed instead of that plus, right? It's going to be plus. Then here, the difference between these two is going to be the following. I think you were doing good in the first part, but we're going to verify. Can you read these two words again, please? Oh, sorry, that's my and the virus. There you go. Can you read these two words again? Sorry. So these two words once again, please, David.
Drank and drunk.
Okay, so if we analyze that, it's actually going to be a little bit different because that a is going to be more like e. Sorry. That a is a little bit more like e, and that u is more like a. So it's going to be drank and drunk. All right, so drink, drank, drunk. All right, let's repeat those three, please, David.
Drink, drunk.
Good.
Drink and drunk. Okay.
Thank you, David. Good. So drink, drank, drunk. So the U is going to be more like a, all right? Because if you say drank over here, it's going to be confused by this one, all right? It happens the same with many other verbs. And I'm going to ask you if you know some other verbs with these characteristics. For example, Jose, do you know other verbs that are similar to drink, in which you use first the E, then you use the A, and then you use the U? Do you know one more verb like that one?
No, I think so.
Okay, we have at least one. We're going to try to remember. I'm going to go to Fabiana if she knows. If not, we're going to learn together. What about you, Fabiana? What do you say? Do we have a similar verb to drink that has a very similar conjugation?
I don't remember. Maybe see, saw, and seen, but it's not
Okay.
the same.
Okay, it's not bad. We are close, all right? Yes, it's not the same. It's not part of this pattern, all right? Because we're going to find patterns. But what you're saying, it's close, all right? Thank you,
Maybe,
Fabiana.
teacher,
Oh,
sorry, I remember give, maybe give, gave, and given.
Okay, it's also close. What the ones that you're telling me, Fabiana, are closed because they are with A in the second conjugation, right? So it's with A, and then gave is with A, correct. But what's missing is the last conjugation with U. We need one U, and it has to be the same. Drink, drank, sorry, right? It's going to be drink, drank, and drank. There is one more at least that is very similar. I don't know if you know about that one, David.
No, teacher.
Okay, we have one. Who's this? Yes, please, Fabiana, can you read that example?
Yes, maybe begin, began, and began.
Very good, exactly. If you realize, it's exactly the same. Drink, I, drank, a, drunk, you, right? Begin, I, began, a, right? Began, you. And there's one more, sing. What is the conjugation for sing, right? Singing. Who knows? Who can tell me that? If it's the same as this one, how do you think it is? What do you say? David, I'm going to go back to you. What do you think is the conjugation for sing if it's actually kind of the same as drink and begin?
Maybe sing, sang, and I don't know. I would say it's sung, not, but I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you, David. Good. So I think we're good. Sing, sang, and sang. All right. And as you can see, you can find patterns like that. Of course, they are not the same. And it's impossible to organize the irregular verbs, but my recommendation is to try to find patterns like these patterns. Drink, begin, sing. They have kind of the same pattern. And you have other patterns with verbs finishing it with N, okay? With N, like taken and given, right? They are similar. And if you analyze the way they are conjugated, they are also similar. Okay, so that's the way you may try to memorize some of the verbs, because again, we're not working with very complicated verbs now, but it's very important that you know how to identify these groups, okay? Because they are not official groups. You're not going to find these groups divided like that in grammar books. No, it's something that you have to do by yourselves, because those are more like strategies, all right? Those are not real divisions. Those are strategies for learning, and we're going to try to do something today. But let's continue. This is something I'm going to read, so now I'll try to give some examples, right? That was something I was trying to do, but more like practicing like this. But actually, let's try to remember. I'm going to go with you, Jose. Can you try to give me 3 regular verbs, please? Here we have these regular verbs, right? Watch, like, travel, and fix. What other regular verbs do you know, Jose?
Play, played, played.
Very good. That was one. What else?
Maybe I can't remember now.
Okay, don't worry. Again, it's hard when we have to remember everything at once, right? So you have play. Okay, you have play, Jose. I'm going to go with your partners, and then I'm going to go back to you. All right?
Okay.
What do you say, Fabiana? What other verbs that are regular do you remember?
Maybe helped, and showed, oh no, and shown it's, so start, maybe start, and start. And finally, I remember liked.
Okay, the two last that you mentioned are correct. Like is already here, right? But you're right. Like is a regular verb. Thank you, Fabiana.
Or maybe move.
Sorry, one more time.
Moved.
Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you, Fabiana. So we have the one that Jose mentioned, play, played, right? Play is regular, correct. Help, that's regular, correct. We have move, that is regular, correct. Good. Start, that's regular, correct. Now, I have one question. That was right, Fabiana. Start is a regular verb, but now, what is the correct pronunciation of start in the simple past? I'm going to go back later on to you, Fabiana. First, David. What do you say, David? What is the simple past of start?
Started.
Okay, so start. What is the past? One more time.
Started.
Okay, started. Good. And the past participle?
Maybe started as well.
Started as well. Correct. Thank you, David. Good. So something important here. Who can tell me, and let's try to have a conversation here. Why do we say started, like it, but we say things like fixed? Why is that difference? Fixed, started. Who can explain that difference? Anybody? Why sometimes we pronounce the ed like t, and sometimes we pronounce the ed like it?
Because the word have a T.
Very good. That's right, Jose. For example, the word, it would be want. Do we apply that rule to the verb want?
No.
How do you pronounce want in past, in simple past?
Wanted.
Okay, wanted, and it's because it has a T, right? Yeah. We apply the rule of the et, right? So it's going to be wanted, right? Wanted, correct. And what about wash? How do you pronounce wash in the simple past?
Washed.
Washed,
right? Like tea?
Like tea, exactly. And that's because the SH is not a strong consonant, right? But the T is a strong consonant, right? That's why sometimes we make the sound like et and sometimes the sound like T, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you, Jose. That's great. And that's important for you to know. Not every time the ED is going to be pronounced in the same way. You need to know when you're going to pronounce the ED like T, watched, washed, liked, traveled, fixed, and when you're going to pronounce that like ED, like wanted, started, right? And it's mainly because of the reason that Jose mentioned, because you have a T or you have a strong consonant. If your consonant is too strong, then you're going to pronounce the ED like it, all right? That's the only case. In all the other cases, it has to be like t, t, that little T, right? Good. Now I'm going to go with the irregular verbs. And I'm going to start this one with you, please, David. Can you tell me 3 irregular verbs that you remember besides these ones, right? You cannot mention write, eat, and drink. What other irregular verbs do you remember,
Maybe be,
David?
be,
Good.
and then eat, and
Okay, eat. We have eat here, right? One other that is not eat. Be is correct.
sorry, maybe come
Come, correct. One more, please.
and do.
And do, correct. Thank you, David. So we have a lot of verbs, right? A lot of verbs, and those are some, be, right? We have do, we have come. All of those are irregular verbs, right? And I'm going to go back to you actually, David. Can you tell me the conjugation of be, please, in simple past and in past participle? What do you say, David? The conjugation of be, of come, and the conjugation of do, please.
Be, the simple past would be was, and past participle is been.
Okay, good. What about come?
Came, and the past participle was come, I think.
Yes, it goes back to the base verb, right? Come, came, come. Good. And the last one, please, with do.
Is did and done.
Correct. Thank you, David. Good, very good. The only thing, let's remember that the verb to be has 2 conjugations in the simple past, right? It's was, but it's also were, right? Was and were, because one is going to be for certain subjects and the other one for the other subjects, right? So good, very good. Be, was, were, been, come, came, come, and we have the other one was do, did, done, right? Good. I'm going back to you, Jose. Can you tell me other 3 irregular verbs, please, Jose? This time, irregular verbs.
Okay. Eat, ate, eaten.
Okay, good. But that one, we already have that one here, right? So we have write, eat, and
really. See, saw, and seen.
Good, correct. Good.
Ran and ran.
What else could be? For example, I'm going to help you with the last one, Jose. This one over here, it's irregular, right? What is the conjugation?
Gave and given.
Correct. Very good. That's it. Now, on one question, Jose, or sorry, one petition. Can you give me the conjugation of the verb run one more time, please? What is the conjugation? What is the simple past of run?
It's ran with a.
Okay. And what do you think is the pronunciation? Because if the base form is run, how do you think is the pronunciation with that a?
I think it's the same pronunciation. Ran.
All right. And what is
Run.
the past participle?
I think it's ran with you too.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jose. No, we're going to try to correct that one because it's correct. You know how to write those ones, right? First is with you, then with a, and then with you again, right? Now, but the pronunciation is going to be different in the past sorry, in the simple past, because remember this one, drink, drank, drank, drank. So it happens the same. Run with you, ran with a, ran and run. Okay, so it's run, ran, run. All right, let's repeat that one, please, Jose.
Ran, run,
Sure.
ran, and run.
Correct. Thank you, Jose. Good. Great. So it's very important. As you can see, some verbs are the same in the past participle. For example, come, came, come. Run, ran, run. And we have one more that is very similar, become, became, become, right? So you have some patterns like that. And it's important that you recognize those patterns to memorize those verbs in groups. And that's going to be easier to remember, all right? But you know those, and it's good. I'm going to finish with you, please, Fabiana, the same. Try to add 3 extra irregular verbs to the ones that we already mentioned, please.
Okay. Maybe I think in win, won, and won.
Okay, correct. That's irregular. Good. What else?
Speak, maybe. The past is spoke, and a participle is spoken.
Correct. Good. One word, please.
Maybe buy, bought, and bought.
Correct. Thank you, Fabiana. That's correct. And also the pronunciation and the conjugation was correct, Fabiana. Thank you very much. Good. So you have all those verbs, and of course you have a lot more. Do you remember the list that I showed you? Only 100 verbs, and those 100 verbs are the most common verbs. So it's important that you remember those verbs at least. But again, try to identify those groups and try to memorize the irregular verbs in groups. One group is, for example, the verb that Fabiana showed at the end. We have, for example, let's remember the groups that we have. The first group is the group with I, A, U. Okay, the group I, A, U. And you have there drink, you have sing, and you have begin, right? Drink, drank, drank, begin, began, began, and you have sing, sang, sang, right? That's one group. Another group is one that I mentioned, all right? When you were giving me examples, let me remember. Okay, the ones that have the same conjugation in the past participle, right? For example, run, ran, run. It's the same as the base form. Come, came, come. It's the same as the base form. And become, became, become, right? The same as the base form. That's another group. Then you have a third one that is that the one that Fabiana mentioned, that is the group for by. And it's the O, right? O, U, J, that's the G, yes, the GH. And that group has the same spelling in the conjugation for the past. For example, buy, bought, bought. Bring, brought, brought. Fight, fought, fought. Think, thought, thought, right? It's the same. All right, it's the same ending, the same spelling, and it's very important that you remember that, and that can be a third group. All right, so it's very important. Again, that's not going to be, perhaps it's already organized in one group. It's weird. I don't know why this meeting is going to end. I'm going to ask the management. All right, we're going to start another meeting, please. I don't know why this is not being with the Pro account. Something must have happened. I'm going to ask, all right? But as I was telling you, perhaps you have that organization in one text, in one textbook. But I don't know, all right? I haven't found one text that divides the irregular verbs like that. If you don't have that text, I don't have it. That's something I did. Try to do it yourselves also, Jose, Fabian, and David. Try to identify the patterns in those groups and try to memorize the verbs in groups, all right? I already told you those 3 possible groups, and you have more. It's up to you to try to organize those ones, all right? So let's continue, please. We're going to go to the next part. This is a review, but it's very important that you remember and that you memorize these verbs to work without problems. If you're not going to read this, because this is not the presentation for the simple past, you know that for the simple past, you need first, in affirmative, the conjugation in simple past. I went, I did, I started, I ate, right? Simple past. In negative, you use did, not, but the main verb is in the base form. I didn't, that's going to be, you don't say went, right? I didn't went. You say, I didn't go. I didn't start. I didn't eat. Okay, we use the base verb. It happens the same in the questions. Did you go? Did you buy? Did you start? Right? Base verb, because we use did. And with the verb to be, of course, only was and were. Okay, so let's review. This is not today's presentation. This is just a reminder. I'm showing you that in order to remember and to contrast with the present perfect. Common expressions are expressions that give you a specific time. When did you go to that party? I went last month. Specific. When did she buy that book? She bought that book 2 days ago, right? So these are specific expressions that you use for the simple past. And that's because you can answer the question with when. When did? If you can answer that question, then you are using the simple past in the correct way. Okay, of course, not every time, but it's expected that when you use the simple past, you have a specific time expression and you can answer that question. When did? Okay, that's important. That was review, only review. We spent a lot of time here. Now let's go to present perfect, and this is what we have to practice a lot. So please, Fabiana, this time I'm going to ask you, let's start with you reading the introduction and the first example, please.
Okay. Present perfect. We use the present perfect to talk about indefinite events in the past. Examples. They have watched that movie before. Watched, and watched.
Thank you very much. And here I'm going to mark important, very important words. Before. All right. Before is one word that you can use with the present perfect, but it's not going to be that common with the simple past. Why? Because before is not specific. You cannot answer the question, when have they watched that movie? Before? No, all right, it doesn't make sense. It's not specific, and you cannot ask a when question with the present perfect with this logic. Before is past, but is indefinite, and that's very, very important. Okay, so before, this is a very important word here. The next part is going to be for you, please, Jose. Let's read the next 3 examples, please.
We have traveled to Santa Cruz 3 times. Peter has studied for the test for many days. She has eaten pasta many times.
Thank you very much, Jose. So if I ask you this question, I'm going to test this, Jose, with you. If I ask you this, when have we traveled to Santa Cruz? Is it possible to answer this question in this tense?
No.
Okay, correct. It's not possible. We cannot because we don't know. We only know that it happens 3 times, right? But that's it. What question can you ask to know about this answer, Jose? This has to be the answer. 3 times.
How
What is the
many
question?
how
Uh-huh.
many times have you traveled to Santa Cruz?
Correct. Thank you, Jose. That's perfect. Good. How many times have you traveled to Santa Cruz? 3 times. It is past. It's indefinite. We know that perhaps it finished. And of course, we know actually that it finished. It's a finished action, but it's not definite. We only know that it happened 3 times, but that's it. We don't know when. Okay, that's the present perfect. Thank you once again, Jose. What about this one? Actually, no, because this is the same. All of them are talking about number of times. For many days, okay. It's not perhaps the times, but actually this can be a little bit different. I'm going to ask you this one, sorry, but many times. This is the same as 3 times. So this one, let me delete. And this is going to be for you, Fabiana, this time. What question can you ask to answer this information, Fabiana? In the second, or sorry, in the third sentence, Peter has studied for the test for many days. What question can you ask to receive this information for many days? What do you say?
Maybe which I can use which days did you
Okay.
study?
Okay, let's try. Let's remember something. If you use which, actually, which is a WH question word that we use for a specific information, all right? Because if you ask with which, my expectation is that you're going to tell me specific days, all right? And you're going to tell me Friday, Saturday, and Monday, all right? Let's say. But actually, we don't know because this is indefinite. This is unspecific, all right? So we cannot use which, because with which we have options to choose and we are going to mention those options, all right? So what other option do you think? And actually, I'm going to help you there, Fabiana. It's one WH question that starts actually with how, all right? H-O-W.
How time, maybe?
Very
Eh,
close, but in English, instead of how time, there's another word to know periods of time. It starts with L.
How long?
How long? Correct. So what is the complete question, Fabiana?
Maybe how long has you studied for the test?
Okay, but if you use you don't have to use has, right? You have to change the has to have, right? But it's correct. How long have you studied for the test? And you can say, I have studied for the test, right, for many days. And that's enough because we know that it was a period of time, but we don't know how many days, and we don't know when it happened, right? So that's specific. And if you want to use has there, Fabiana, then you should keep the idea of the third person that is going to be Peter or he, right? How long has he or has Peter studied for the test? He has studied for the test for many days, right? Good, very good. Now, we're going to go to the formula, if I'm not wrong. Let me check. Okay, and there you go, yes. Actually, no, this is the conjugation, all right? We're going to go to the formula later on, but that was the first part. Then I'm going to show you the formula and we're going to write some examples. But before that, please, David, let's read all this information, please, David, everything that we have in this slide.
Okay. To write a sentence in the present perfect, you need to use have or has